All right. Hey, everybody. Oh,
Hey,
I'm so
bro.
excited. Simon, we are walking folks through the new upcoming XAG app and have some really, really, really awesome things to share with y'all. A couple notes about it first is that this is more or less a beta version. There are some things that are still being worked out. It's not available at this particular moment, but we will let you know as soon as it is. But we just couldn't wait to give you a preview on this. So the first thing I'm going to say about it. And then, Simon, I'm going to have you walk us through the other things that we're doing. But there is now variable rate application and spot spraying built directly into the app. Not only can you import those prescription plans, but you can also just create your own right on the app. So that's the thing I'm most excited about. And then Simon's going to talk about all the other updates that I consider a little less exciting, but they're still probably going to be fun anyway. All right,
Yeah,
Simon, walk us through it.
thanks, Brian. So this is the basically version 5 of the app. Expecting it really soon through XAG. You'll expect an update on your app. A lot of cool new features, like Brian said, and a new interface. So that's the first very obvious difference when you open up this app is the interface changes. Guys that are familiar with XAG, you'll know and love your three icons at the bottom, which previously were field, operation, and me. That's now changed. You now see field, records, and me. And they've essentially combined the field and the operation page into one. And I think you'll see it's a much more intuitive and fluid operation now. It's a lot faster and easier to use in general. They've also made it so that you can actually go from mapping to operation and back without losing any of your tasks that you're working on. So it's a continuous type of operation. It's really cool.
Great.
So I'll
Some of the
quickly
other
run.
things, Simon,
Yeah,
before
go.
we get too into the layout of it,
Yeah,
can you just give a quick overview of what else we're going to be covering? I know, like, we've got new battery
yeah,
health settings. We've got some return
yeah,
to launch options. Can you walk through just an
yeah.
overview of what else we're going to cover too?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of updates. We won't be able to cover everything, but here's the big ones. There's a new battery health management system where it will show the health of the battery. There's additional options for the level of charge. There's options for automating the return to home based on the health of the battery as well. So a lot of good stuff there. The route and spray settings page are now all combined into one. That's always been a complaint of ours with XAG. It's a much more easy and intuitive interface for the actual automatic route and spray settings. Of course, Brian, as you said, we've got variable rate spray and spread settings now too, which are really shockingly easy to use.
Yeah.
There's a 24-hour trajectory path that you can show on the map so you can see your past flights within the last 24 hours. And then a lot of other cool stuff like the ability to import custom maps and load custom map sources. So instead of Google Maps, you might be able to load a different map, which again, we're still learning a lot about this, but just really, really
Yeah.
exciting.
Right on. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Let's jump into it
All
then.
right.
Where do you want to
So
start?
I'm going to start with the battery health management side.
Cool.
I'm going to go to the Me page here at the bottom. This is going to look almost identical to the previous version. I'm going to click on devices. This is also going to look pretty much the same. I'm going to select my drone. The main difference you'll see when you select the battery, there are some additional functions here. And again, this is kind of a beta version. You're going to see some things that aren't translated yet, but I'll guide you through them, and I think you guys will really appreciate the updates. So first, there's a battery health status that actually indicates the health of the battery based on capacity, the voltage difference between cells, and help you track the health of your batteries. Of course, right now it does say it in Chinese, but hey, that's going to get fixed soon. Right now, it's saying the health of my battery is good.
Great.
Going down a little bit more, this option here that is also new, again, not translated yet. I'm going to click on the little info icon. This one's really interesting. It's called Aging Overload Protection. Sounds kind of scary, but as you can see, once enabled, the device power consumption will be optimized based on the battery health. So if the battery is older and doesn't have the same kind of capacity that a new one will have, it will limit certain functions of the aircraft, like the payload or possibly when it actually returns to home. So again, adding safety to make sure that you have enough battery to come back and land.
I feel like there are certain weekends that I need a function like that for myself.
Yeah.
Aging overload
Aging
protection.
overload. You can't do too much work. That's
I'm
right.
telling you.
And then
I
this
came up
last
with a
one is probably,
no one
I
steal
think,
that idea. That's my
no,
idea.
no,
No,
no.
no one can steal that.
Yeah. The
Performance update.
performance. The last one I see here is, I think, is going to be the most useful, the charge mode. So now we have the option of selecting three levels of charge status for each battery.
Very
And,
cool.
we always tell people, hey, you can fly from 90% battery. There's a lot of advantages to that, typically the last 10% of the battery is the longest charging. Um,
Right. Right.
so now you have the option for operation mode, which will charge the battery to 90% every time. That's going to save on
Right.
charging time and it's going to make the battery last longer. So that's
Big
awesome that it
time.
has that function built
Yeah.
in. Full charge mode, and then finally a long-term storage mode, which will automatically bring the level of the battery to 60%. That's
Great.
awesome.
We need
All
that
built
for
in.
the off season when y'all are putting these in storage. That's perfect. Built
That's
right
right.
in.
And then
Okay,
the
cool.
only other thing that's really different in the on the drone side is the camera functionality has improved a little bit. We have
Yep.
a video stabilization function for the camera, a digital video stabilization, and an automatic headlight function, which will turn automatically on in low light conditions. So that's a
Yeah.
nice little
Cool.
bonus.
Great.
Exiting out of that, going back. Everything else here, like the Teams function, is pretty similar. I'll quickly go over the records page because there's a lot of really cool functions here. The data is basically the same, but it's laid out in a much easier way to read. So if I
Yeah.
select a flight that we did recently, one cool thing about it is that it shows here once it loads, it'll actually show statistics for each operation, and I just like the data behind it. And there's a graph showing how much you sprayed for that day,
Great.
instead of just a list like we would have before, which looked like this. So you have
Right.
both
Right.
options now. So a little bit easier to sort through data in your record keeping page. The overall layout and the interface just looks a little bit nicer.
Yeah. And you can
Yeah.
still do your whole flight playback, like your video playback of the
Yes.
flight.
Yes.
Great.
So and you click
I
on it,
really
you
like
can
that.
click on the actual name of each field. Sorry, I clicked
Yeah.
off of it before I did that, but we go to the list and select one like this, for example,
Yep.
it'll actually play it back just like it did before.
Very
And
cool.
actually, they did fix a bug where the satellite map wouldn't load, so that's been
Oh
resolved.
yeah. I had that happen several times too. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Very cool.
so
I
very
love it.
good. Going back to the main page here, go to the fields page. So this is the biggest difference in the app is the layout of this page. You can see now we're in the fields page, but at the bottom we have two tabs, operation and mapping. If we click on operation, it takes us to what we're kind of used to with our previous app, which is the operations page, where we can see our drones, we can see the status of our aircraft, our remote battery, etc. There's a couple things here right off the bat that I noticed that I just fell in love with, which is the shortcuts icon. So this is a shortcut to do an idle test for your motors, a manual spray test for your spray pumps. You can discharge a remaining chemical in the tank and even calibrate the system right from this
Right from that
operations
page.
page without navigating through 10 other pages to get to it.
Right. Which makes sense because this is going to be the time that you're going to do that. It's when you're out in the field ready to go, more or
Operating.
less. This is the time that those things would be the most valuable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
right.
everyone watching, check out there is another video that we just posted. I don't know, within a couple weeks of this one. That's the P100 Pro Operator's Handbook.
Yeah.
Check that video out, and then there's a link to the actual handbook that goes through some. It's like the best resource I think that XAG's put out in a long time. It was in collaboration with XAG in Australia, and really useful. Includes a lot of pre-flight checklists in addition to the one that HSE provides our customers. Some just really incredible resources, troubleshooting, safety parameters. It's a brilliant
It's
resource. So make
it's
sure to check that
great.
out if you haven't already.
Highly
Yeah,
recommend having that for anybody flying XAG drones.
big time. Yeah, cool.
Something else right away I noticed, this has been a gripe with the XAG app, and I'm sure other people can agree with me on this, is going back a page was always kind of confusing in the previous version. Sometimes you'd have a back button,
Right.
sometimes you'd have an X, sometimes it'd be on the left, on the right. Now they
Yeah.
fixed that. So this big XAG button at the top left, it's like your home button. Anytime you click on it, it goes right back to the main page, and you can toggle
Very
in
cool.
from mapping and then go back and go to the operations page and switch back and forth seamlessly. So makes
Great.
a lot easier to kind of navigate through all the many
Yep.
functions that this app has.
And it looks like mode function is right next to that at the top there. Right now we're in operate autonomous mode, and
Correct.
then we can switch here to AB manual operation, and then you're going to see an explanation of those functions as
You
well
got
there.
it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
That's actually a little easier to see now too. Before that was a very tiny button at the bottom that a lot of people
Right.
missed. Yeah.
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 Great.
Then a
Can we
couple
get to
more
the other
things.
part
Yeah.
yet? I'm so excited about
Yeah, we're
that.
almost there, almost there. So the last couple things I want to show you is some
Excellent.
of the map functions. So we talked about the trajectory. So you can show, and this is another thing that's not updated yet, but it can show trajectory of the drone based on the last 24 hours or time. There's a couple of different options here.
Hmm.
Um, and down here, this is one thing I'm really excited about that we're still testing is the option for a custom map. So that's going to be a game changer for spraying
Yeah.
drones. It'll allow us to load not just whatever map, the manufacturer decides on, but load our own map with our own up-to-date data, our own imaging potentially directly
Great.
into the app and not have to go through a third party, which is awesome. Very,
Love
very
it. Yeah.
excited about that. And we're
Good.
going to go right into selecting a field and going through the all the various route and spray settings and variable rate settings. So we're going to select
Cool.
this field here. We're going to go ahead and click confirm. And I know it's not RTK. Ah, hang on. I think I switched it out of RTK yeah, we'll just put it in GPS mode for
Try
now.
that.
It's because
Yeah.
it's right next to the building.
Yeah.
It's not getting very good signal. That's okay.
Oh yeah, only 13. Cool.
Yeah. Confirm, cancel. Okay. All right. So we've selected our field and a couple things. They've changed the colors of the route. It's a lot more visible now. Before it was like a light blue. It was kind of hard to tell. Is it going to fly there? Is it not? Now it's a
Right.
lot more obvious. They've added dotted lines through the non-spraying zone so you can see it's flying through but not spraying.
That's
Just
great.
a
Yep.
lot easier to read overall.
I also really like that those operation parameters are just right there. Like the
Yep.
estimation of total volume and the operation parameters are like it's just so clear instead of having to find myself often having to go back into those before I
Hmm.
take off to make sure that I set up my operation parameters properly. But now it's just displayed right there. That's
Yeah.
great.
They've also really made optimized the use of the screen. So even on a small phone like I'm using now,
Yeah.
before basically the bottom half of the screen took up half the screen, and it was hard to see the
Right.
map while you were configuring your operations. Now it's all kind of transparent. It's a lot easier. You get a lot more out of a small display,
Right.
which is awesome.
I love it.
So we'll jump into our
Yes, that red
operation.
makes it really
Yeah,
obvious that that's where obstacles are. It's not going to fly through there,
that's
and
right.
those hashed lines are. It's going to fly through there, but not spray. That's
That's right.
great.
Yeah, makes it
Good.
really easy. So we'll go to the
Yeah.
operation settings, and this is a huge improvement over the previous setup where we had a separate route settings and a separate spray settings. But the thing is, they are dependent on each other. So when you change
Yeah.
a parameter in one, it would change the settings in the other. And we found ourselves jumping back and forth through tabs constantly. And it was
Right.
really frustrating, honestly, to go through that.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
completely changed that. So now it's all in one page. We have our spraying settings, our operation route settings, and our approaching route settings. Before, these were all in different tabs. It was very clunky to get through, and people would miss it a lot of times. So now
Yep.
everything is in
Right.
one page. It's so, so easy to get to. You only have two tabs, your basic settings, which is basically what you're going to use every day, and then some advanced settings. Um,
Yep.
They've also added, I've noticed, to the basic settings, some very important options like the radar terrain following before used to be in advanced settings, which is something you had to change all
Right.
the time. And
Right.
so a lot simpler. So
Good.
let's go into the spraying settings. And you can see right now we selected default with no prescription map. but we have
Yeah.
options of selecting prescription maps, which is a huge update to the app. We can do a
Yep.
manual prescription map or select a prescription map that was imported into the app. For now, we're going
And
to do manual.
before we
Yeah.
do that, oh, Simon, hide it. Oh no.
Oh, oh,
Okay.
oh,
It's
oh,
okay.
go back, go back. Okay, sorry. I jumped ahead.
That's all
I'm
good.
too
Okay,
excited,
but
Brian.
I want to show people the other options in that operational okay, and y'all just act like you didn't see what we just showed you, and do
Nope.
not pause this video and rewind 8 seconds. Okay, don't do that. We're going to show you in a second. But I want to show folks this new option for the safety zones. I
Oh,
think that's
right.
really, really, really cool, and it's also going to contribute a lot to efficiency here. So right
Yes.
now, and everyone, like the bottom part that says sense settings, radar terrain following, operation routes only, that's all, if you're not familiar with the XAG app and you're watching this and learning about XAG for the first time, all of these default settings can be changed, like Simon just showed. But Simon, let's take a look at that safety zone mode.
Yes.
So I'll give y'all some context first for people that aren't familiar with this at all or might be flying a different aircraft right now or might not have one at all. So by default, the XAG system allows the operator to choose the specific route, height, and speed anytime it enters or exits the field. So, for example, if there's a tree line or a ditch or any obstacles, power lines, etc., you can say to the aircraft, you are only ever allowed to enter and exit the field at this exact place. I was in a vineyard once, and we set up outside of the fence. They had a 10-foot high fence all the way around the property to prevent deer from getting into the vineyard. But we didn't have enough space inside the fence to set up the aircraft, so the aircraft started outside the fence and then flew through this 15-foot gate. So this was a really critical feature for that. You can also shut this off. So if you have wide open access for efficiency, obviously you want to be able to just go and enter and exit from the most efficient route. So you can shut the whole thing off. But historically, you've only been able to create the entry and exit was one and the same. And Simon's going to walk you through a new big efficiency gain here
Yeah,
on being able to set up a specific exit route that's distinct from the entry route. All right.
that's right.
I just wanted
Okay.
to give some of that
So
background,
that's
Simon.
the
Go ahead.
safety zone mode. Right now, it's showing the route like you just described, which is our standard approaching route. But if we
Yeah.
enable safety zone mode, well, first it goes through, it essentially disables approaching route. We'll go ahead and acknowledge. And first, you'll notice this kind of white safety zone. So that's areas that the drone may need to enter to fly in or out of that field. And it even tells you, please ensure all obstacles in the white safety zone have been marked in advance. So you can still add obstacles in that area outside of the field that the drone will fly around. And this is essentially a lot of other brand of drones operate this way. And it's usually the fastest, most efficient way if you have open areas with no obstacles.
Right.
However, we have an additional option now called RTH Safe Zone. When we enable that, we get some interesting additional options. Now we can actually create a separate entry line and return home line. So it's calculating the estimated area that it will have to return home from, and it can actually be a separate path in and out of the field. So this is more efficient than having a single designated path. It's basically you can take the shortest possible path into the field, shortest possible path out of the field, but still have your own custom route to make sure it doesn't encounter any obstacles, which is
That's
really
right.
cool.
And that little purple dot is the furthest one to your left, everyone, is where it's estimated it will run out of liquid. So that's why it's
Right.
saying, all right, well, I'm going to run out here. So what's the most direct route home from here? If we didn't have this, before,
Mhm.
say that you had to use your original entry and exit point. If you didn't have this other option, the RTH safe route, then it would have ran out at that little purple dot and it would have went to your top corner there where the yellow line starts, and then it would have flown back, which loses some efficiency because now it's leaving the field, going up to that corner, and then coming back out. So just a big efficiency gain. Another quick thing that's an option in this that I love, especially for folks launching and landing on trailers, is there's a new return to home option when the job is finished. It comes back and says, "Do you want me to hover like normal? Do you want me to return to launch or return to home like normal?" There's now a new option that says, "Do you want me to return and hover at the launch location?" Which means the aircraft will fly back based on the instructions you gave here, and then it will just hover over its landing position. So, in a sense, like a trailer, then you're going to just land it manually. So, you have all the options in the world based on your specific setting
Mm.
or your specific circumstances, I should say.
Very flexible depending on the kind of job you want to do.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, cool. All right. I think that's it on that part, Simon, right?
Yeah, yeah. We can jump into the variable rate spraying
All right,
settings
let's
then.
do it.
So
Okay,
up
great.
here where we have our spraying settings,
Thanks.
these functions
Thanks
are
for letting me
basically the
hijack
same
that.
as what we had before, but instead of default, we can choose manual prescription map. And here I've already was playing around with it a little bit, but let me run you through what this means because I'm sure this is going to get a little confusing.
Yeah,
The different colors on this map, the green, yellow, and red, indicate different rates of application with the drone. So at the bottom here, and it may be a little tough to see, we have setting options that allow us to set a rate for each of these colors boxes. And these are all independently adjustable for each one. So once that's set, you can actually go in and if you select this paintbrush, you can choose which rate you want for each field and select specific blocks to paint in for that rate. You can also delete areas if you want. You have a lot of flexibility here for the various areas and various rates that you want to apply. And you can choose, I mean, you can go crazy with this, right? Now,
right.
what I think is really cool is once you save the areas that you want to fly at these specific rates and then click the green button and hit save, the drone will actually generate a path. Let me close this so you guys can see it. Or up here you can see it. It's not just going to fly the whole field. It actually generates a path that's shortest for just the areas that you selected. So not only is this really finally a true spot spraying application, it's also a variable rate spot spraying application with optimized flight trajectories, which is absolutely awesome.
Pretty
So now we
cool.
have an
It's really
independent
brilliant.
entry and exit route with three different rates and three different locations.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Wow, it's wild. Yeah. It's so I think that there's so much functionality and I appreciate the work and the engineering marvel that it is really on XAG side to figure out because variable rate application in a foliar fertilizer or I mean really a lot of applications herbicides as well is going to save folks a ton of cost and chemical cost, but also obviously with foliar, you're going to increase your yield significantly. So areas on boundaries or places that aren't just the crop just health is not the vigor isn't great, then this will give you a lot of flexibility in how you put these spraying drones to work and all the different things that you can do to increase yields and decrease your costs with one vehicle, one application machine. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's really exciting. Simon, anything else that we? Oh, and also Simon mentioned this earlier, y'all, but this applies to the spraying and the spreading
That's what I
aspect.
was
So
going to
this works
mention.
with dry and liquid.
That's right.
Um, Simon, anything else that we didn't cover? I'm just looking at my notes over here.
I'm sure there's more that we haven't learned yet. But
Yeah.
these are the most exciting things that I've noticed. And the only other thing I want to add is the in combination of being able to do the variable rate and being able to import your own map, that's going to be a game changer for the drone industry because that means that
Yes.
we're not going to need to have a third party software that we have to pay thousands of dollars a year for potentially to simply create what we just did now in 5 minutes. It can all be done
Right.
within the same app on location in the field without internet access. It's going to make your operation a lot easier. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to really go put this to the test.
That's great. Well, good. We got a lot of invasive aquatics out there in that
Yeah,
pond, Simon. Let's
that's
get
right.
to work. All right,
Awesome.
everybody. Thanks for watching. Please do, comment, share anything that you want to see more of, or, we're always interested. We put these videos out, and then, most of the time we hear about it when people call us and they're like, "Oh, I love that video," or whatever. But we'd love to hear from you about anything that, stands out particularly to you that you find valuable in this new update. If you've got questions, you can holler at us here too. Get in touch with our team. Again, as you probably know by now, HSE offers DJI and XAG and TTA spraying drones. We help people with their FAA approvals, leasing, financing, protection plans. We've got a dealer network across the country, and we're just really committed to our customers being set up properly and fully trained and all that good stuff to have just an epic business on this. So yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate
Awesome.
you, and we'll see you next time we have more updates. Oh, also, speaking of updates, when this is officially released, you will know about it. If you're a customer, you're going to get an email from us with instructions on how to update. So of course you'll be the first to know. Okay. Thanks for watching.
Fantastic.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys. Bye.